data model, right, to folks who might want to integrate with us, right, using this clean API. We say that it's RESTful. These are our entities, right? They know that they're going to use post, put, delete, get, blah, 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 right? So just by saying REST, immediately everybody has an architecture in mind, right? No longer do you need to explain a lot of things, right? They can assume a lot of things, right? And that eases the integration between two worlds, right? They might know what to expect here. So let's go a little further and let's do a create. Now, create is going to be tricky because it's going to expect a post, right? And there's no way from our browser, to generate the post. Where is the one we were using? There we go, here. Right, there's no way for us to generate a post here, right? So instead, we're going to have to use tools such as Postman to be able to use that. So let's go here, and what I'd like to be able to do is just use the repository dot save course. And that's it. That's all we're doing. Right? Presumably, the course will be parsed from a JSON file, from a JSON string that is part of the body. It'll be converted into a Java instance, right? And then inserted as a in SQL as a row in SQL. The result of saving that will be then selected back into Java and converted back into a Java object right here, and that's what's going to be returned, right? An instance of the course that was inserted, including the ID that was just inserted, and then converted back into JSON. So it's lots of conversions, right? JSON to Java to a row, and then the row that was inserted back into Java and then back into JSON. Lots of things happening, and obviously lots of network communication happening here, right? Because the client might be running somewhere in East Asia, the server might be running here in the US, right? And the database might be running somewhere in in Europe, right? And all of them using HTTP, right, to communicate amongst each other. They don't have to be necessarily co-located, right? Here I have everything running on my machine, right? But in real life, when you deploy these things, right, who knows where these things are running? Okay, so we have to be mindful also of all this. The design of these APIs, typically we try to make them as coarse as possible, so that we try to minimize the chattiness. How many queries are you making, because these are expensive, right? You're going all over the world sending this data back and forth. Ideally you want to, when you want to send data, send lots of data. Take the most advantage as possible at that one query, right? Instead of making many little queries, you try to make one huge query, to minimize the back and forth. So anyway, so let's do a create here, what about put? Put will be the same thing. Put will be retrieve from the server, from the database. We first retrieve the course and then we update it, right? But first, let's do this one. Let's do create. So we're done here. Let's recompile. Let's rebuild and let's rerun it. And while it's starting, we'll start up our Postman tool so that we can start interacting with our server here. Okay, so it's up and running. Let's go fetch Postman. So Postman is a tool that allows you to easily send data to remote servers, and we're going to be using it fall 2019. Okay, so we've been creating a couple here. We have 3 requests. We're going to create let me close a whole bunch of these here. We're going to create our course. Let me just close a whole bunch of these. All right. So let's create a brand new one. New at requests. There we go. And we'll say create, or we'll do the first one is find all courses. Find all courses. There it is. So it will need it. It's going to be a get. It's going to. I'm just going to copy it from here. I'm just going to paste it here. And if I save it and I run it, I have the same array of 3 courses. Yes? No surprise there. I'm just going to clone this, duplicate, and instead I'm going to call this create course. Create course is going to be a post to that same URL. And we're going to have to provide in the body the structure of that course, which right now is just an ID and a title. So the ID is going to be auto increment. So I'm not going to provide the ID. I'm just going to provide a title. So in the body, it's going to be raw. It's going to be JSON, and the structure is going to be something like title, and the course is I'm teaching React. I'm going to save that. I'm going to send that, and that's presumably we're going to receive a response from the server saying, "Yep, I just inserted it, and React is there, and the ID is 4." If I go to find all courses and I run it again, hopefully now I'll see this new course that I just added. Okay. We can also duplicate this and try to get a particular ID, a particular course. So find course by ID, and perhaps we can provide the ID here, right, and get that one course. So all those 3 are working. Very good. And you can create all sorts of test suites, right, to verify that your APIs are working, and make it part of your testing strategy. All right, so let's try the other ones. How about update, right? So for instance, we can, usually what we need to do is first fetch the course from the database, right? And it would become now a managed object, right? Then you update that managed object, and then you save it back into the database. So we'll do course, the old course. We're going to find it using our repository. Find course by ID. We pass in the course ID. We can update it using that the old course. We're going to set the title equal to the new course dot set title, get title, right? And then we can just save it back into a database. We can use say your repository dot save the old course back into the database, and we can just return. We can return the result of having saved this course. And finally, let's also do the delete. The delete will look something like repository. Well, we don't have a delete, right? So let's build that in our repository. So let's go into the repository. Actually, we do have one, right? We already have a generic one. We could just say repository dot delete by ID, right? Certainly that would work, right? Or we can override our delete and write our own in the repository, where the query might look something like public void delete course by ID, and we would pass the same parameter, course ID, right? And where the query might look something like query delete from course C, where there we go. From where delete C from course C. What is it? delete course. Oh, so course C. Where is that what it wants? Oh, from course. There we go. Excellent. Thank you. From blah, 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 course ID, and then we pass in that integer. So if we go back in the controller, we can say, we use our brand new and say that repository dot delete course by ID, and we pass in the course ID. There we go. All right, so let's restart this. Let's run that, and from our Postman, what we could do is we could do an update. So I'm going to clone this create, clone it, and I'm going to call it duplicate. We're going to call it update course, and we're going to do a put instead. Right? I already have a body, I believe. There we go. There we have a body, and we're going to update our course. Let's see, find all courses. This one, number 4. I'm going to change it the title. Right. So I'm going to say update the course. There'll be a put. Right, and the ID will be 4, and the title instead of React will be Angular. Save that. Right, and so if I do a send, it comes back with indeed that the value is Angular, and if we get all the courses, we can verify this, that indeed it has actually changed from React to Angular. Or we can delete the course, right? So we can say, I'm going to duplicate this, and I'm going to call it delete course, course by ID. This will be a delete, and I'll pass in the ID number 4, save, and send it, and I get an error. What? Not supported query, internal, blah, 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 blah. I really didn't like that delete. Okay, not supported for DML operation, course, models, blah, 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 blah. All right, I'll take a look at that. Let's instead use the default one. What is it? Delete by ID? Is that the one? Yes. Let's try it out. Let's run that. Let's try our delete again. And we'll delete number 4. Delete. Okay, we didn't get anything. That's promising. So let's refresh, and we see that we don't have that anymore. All right. All right, awesome.